Hello, and welcome back to Forgotten Ties. Sometimes, the biggest secrets are buried in the places we least expect. We rifle through attics, dig through dusty boxes, searching for faded memories. But have you ever considered that something might still be alive, still waiting to be discovered, within something that seems utterly dead? This is the story of Sarah, a tale not just of grief, but of a chilling pursuit into the darkness, where truth and lies are intertwined. Sarah, at 37, was a talented architect, a strong and independent woman. But a year ago, her world crumbled when her mother, Eleanor, unexpectedly passed away from a heart attack. The loss left a void so vast that nothing could fill it. Sarah tried to move on, to live her life, but every corner of her mother's old house brought back painful memories. Finally, she decided it was time to clear it out, to pack away the fragments of one life so she could begin her own. She had no idea that in a forgotten cardboard box in the basement, a door to the past was still wide open. The box was covered in dust, buried under a pile of old magazines and clothes. When Sarah opened it, she only hoped to find a few childhood photos to ease her heart. Instead, she found an old mobile phone, a flip phone she hadn't seen since the early 2000s. It was an antique, a relic from another era. Initially, Sarah was going to throw it away, but a strange feeling compelled her to keep it. She thought, maybe there were old texts or pictures she'd never seen. Maybe there was a piece of her mother still lingering. Sarah found an old charger, plugged it in, and waited. The screen slowly came to life, like a creature resurrecting from the dead. There were no photos, no text messages, just a blank screen. Sarah was about to give up, but then a small icon blinked on the screen, signaling new messages. Voicemails. Sarah frowned. This phone had been off for over a year. Who would leave a message? And why? Her heart began to beat unnaturally fast. A sense of anticipation mixed with a hint of dread. She entered the password her mother used, and a familiar voice filled the speaker. The voice was not the gentle, affectionate one of the mother she remembered. It was shaky, full of panic. "You have to listen to me, Sarah," the voice gasped. "They're watching me. They know I have their secret. I don't have much time. You have to find the box. Don't trust anyone. I'll leave a clue in the book." "That book, Sarah." The voice became choked, then abruptly cut off. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. Her mother had died a year ago. How could a message like this exist? A message sent the next day, according to the phone's timestamp. Was someone playing a cruel trick on her? But that voice was her mother's. It was unmistakable. Sarah trembled, pressing replay. But as she listened, everything became even more confusing. The call came from an unknown number, and the time displayed was 12:30 p.m., May 27th, the day her mother died. But Sarah knew for a fact she had passed away at midnight. This was completely illogical. She wanted to find a reasonable explanation, some sort of mistake. But as she listened again, she couldn't deny the panic in that voice. It wasn't a cruel joke. It was a plea for help. And it was sent from a world she thought her mother had left forever. Sarah clutched the phone, her eyes fixed on the dim screen. What she thought was a lifeless keepsake was, in fact, living evidence, a chilling accusation that her mother's death was not as simple as she had been led to believe. The terror from the voicemail still haunted Sarah. She replayed it over and over, every word, every sound, trying to find a logical explanation. But nothing made sense. "You have to find the book." Her mother's words echoed in her mind. What book? Her mother had so many books. She could have opened a library. A feeling of loneliness and confusion overwhelmed Sarah. She needed someone to talk to, someone she could trust. And then she thought of David. David was a close friend of her mother's, a retired police officer. He had helped her mother with many odd jobs. Sarah called David, her voice trembling. She told him about the strange voicemail and the impossible date. She expected advice, a word of comfort. But David's reaction was not what she anticipated. He was silent for a long moment, and then his voice grew tense. "Sarah, listen. Someone might have faked your mother's voice. This is a cruel joke. You should forget about it." He tried to convince her, but the urgency in his voice made her feel even more uneasy. "David, that was my mom's voice. I can't be mistaken." Sarah was insistent. "And why is the date wrong?" David fell silent again. He said he would look into it and advised her not to do anything rash. Sarah hung up, filled with doubt. Something wasn't right. What was David hiding? Sarah decided to trust her instincts. She went back to her mother's house, ransacking every bookshelf. She flipped through every page, but found nothing. What book? Where had her mother hidden it? She remembered a strange habit of her mother's. She had an old drawer in her study where she kept important things. Sarah rummaged through the drawer, but only found old papers and unimportant letters. Desperate, she knocked on the bottom of the drawer. A hollow thump echoed back. There was a secret compartment. Sarah used all her strength to pull the false bottom out. And she found it. A worn, leather-bound book with no title. It had no words, no pictures. The entire inside had been hollowed out. Inside, there was nothing but a small, intricately carved key and a small, folded piece of paper. Sarah unfolded the paper. Her mother's handwriting, brief but full of mystery, emerged. The last chapter is yet to be written. The truth is in the sound. She clutched the book and the key. Everything became clearer and also more terrifying. Her mother hadn't had a heart attack. She had died a mysterious death, and the voicemails were not a trick, but the last clues. She remembered David's words, "This is a cruel joke." No, it wasn't. He knew. He knew everything. He was trying to protect someone or to hide a horrible secret. The truth is in the sound. Her mother's message. What did that mean? She went back to the phone. She listened to the first message again, then the second. This time, she paid attention to the ambient noises. She heard the ticking of her mother's old grandfather clock, the steady clicking she was so familiar with. Then a strange sound came through. A very distinctive horn, like the horn of an old delivery truck. She remembered her mother telling her about such a truck that was always parked at the end of the street every morning. This couldn't be a coincidence. Sarah began to piece everything together. The voicemail, the hollowed-out book, the key, and the note. They were all part of a complex puzzle her mother had left for her. She was no longer a woman mourning her mother. She had become a detective, a hunter of truth. She knew David was involved. And he had lied. But why? Sarah's phone call to David, along with her nagging questions, forced him to confess part of the truth, a truth that could change everything she ever knew about her mother. The phone rang, interrupting Sarah's thoughts. It was David. His voice no longer held caution or tension. This time, it was fear. "Sarah, listen," he said quickly. "I can't hide it from you anymore. Your mother asked me to keep something. She told me to protect it at all costs. She knew they were watching her." Sarah was stunned. "Who are they, David?" she asked, her voice rigid. "A group of people. They call themselves the Heritage Guardians. Your mom got tangled up with them. They're collectors, but not of lifeless antiques. They hunt for secrets. Secrets that can change history. And your mother found something they wanted." David told Sarah the story he had kept secret for a year. Her mother, Eleanor, was not the ordinary woman Sarah thought she was. Beyond her job as a librarian, she was an independent historical investigator, specializing in uncovering untold stories, forgotten secrets. She had discovered a secret network, an organization that had existed for centuries, concealing dark truths. "Your mom found something very important," David continued. "It's a journal containing the secrets of this organization. She had copied everything. She called it the evidence. Sarah was in a state of shock. She stared at the key in her hand. "So, what did this key unlock?" "David, my mom mentioned a box. A box she bought from an antique shop." David was silent. "I kept it, Sarah. I had to protect you. She knew you would be their next target." David said that after Eleanor's death, he was tasked with managing her possessions. Among the belongings, he found the mysterious box, hidden away. He understood it was what the organization wanted, and he decided to store it in the safest place no one would ever think to look. "A safety deposit box at the bank," he said. "Under my name. They'll never find it." David's confession turned Sarah's world completely upside down. Her mother was not a victim of a heart attack. She had planned her death to deceive those who were watching her. They thought they had everything, David said, but your mom was smarter. She left you the clues, a map leading to the truth. Sarah understood. The hollowed-out book, the key, and the voicemails were not random. They were a message, a test to see if she was worthy of the truth her mother had sacrificed her life to protect. David gave her the bank and the safety deposit box number. He warned her to be careful, as they were still out there, still waiting. He said they might be following her and she couldn't trust anyone. Not even him. Your mother's last message was not a plea for help, Sarah, David whispered. It was a final message to you. A test. She wanted you to find it on your own. Sarah's heart pounded. She felt a jolt of electricity run through her body. She was no longer afraid. Now she had only one goal, to go to the bank, open the mysterious box, and find the truth her mother had traded her life for. She was ready to face whatever was waiting. The air was thick with tension as Sarah walked into the bank. Every gaze, every step, made her feel as though she was being watched. She held the key tightly in her hand, feeling every intricate carve. This wasn't just a key. It was a doorway to a secret world her mother had lived in, and a promise of a legacy she was about to inherit. She gave the safety deposit box number to the bank employee and followed him into the secure room. The clatter of metal, the heavy thud of the vault door closing, created a private and chilling atmosphere. David was right. No one would ever suspect the mysterious box was stored in such a public and secure place. When the safe deposit box was opened, the intricately carved wooden box was revealed, nestled neatly inside. It was not just a box, it was a work of art, with hidden carvings containing ancient symbols Sarah couldn't recognize. She reached out and touched it, feeling the cold grain of the wood. She trembled as she used the small key, carefully inserting it into the hidden lock. A small click echoed and the box opened. There was no diamond, no stack of cash. Inside, there was only a single, modern USB drive and a small note. Her mother's handwriting, brief but powerful, "The true treasure is the truth itself." Sarah tucked the USB into her pocket and hurried out of the bank. She rushed to her car, her heart pounding. She couldn't wait another minute. Back home, she plugged the USB drive into her laptop. There was an audio file titled Final Testament. Sarah hit play, and her mother's voice came through again. This time, it was no longer panicked, but calm and strong. "If you are listening to these words, Sarah," the voice said, "it means you found it. You passed the test. I am so proud of you." Eleanor explained everything. She had uncovered a network trafficking priceless art, and the evidence was encrypted and stored on this USB drive. The traffickers, under the guise of the Heritage Guardians, had been fencing stolen artifacts from museums and historical sites all over the world. Eleanor had been working with Interpol and intelligence agencies, but she couldn't trust anyone. The call for help in the phone was a fake message, created to deceive the people who were following her. "I faked my death so they would believe they had won," her voice said. "But you will continue this fight. You will be the one to bring the truth to light." Her mother's voice faded, leaving only a final message, warm and full of love. "Now you are not just my daughter. You are a guardian of the truth. Be careful, Sarah." Sarah sat there, tears streaming down her face. She no longer felt the pain of loss, but a sense of responsibility and strength. Her mother's words were not a goodbye, but an encouragement. What she had found in the box was not a material treasure, but a timeless legacy. The missed calls, the voicemails that seemed to have been forgotten, were an invitation to a mysterious adventure that she, Sarah, would now have to continue. If this story, this journey into the unknown, has left you on the edge of your seat, don't let the mystery end here. Hit that like button, subscribe to Forgotten Ties, and turn on notifications so we don't miss what forgotten ties might be waiting for us to uncover next.